While the world is going mad, it's hard to remain quiet. I really had no intention to do any more videos, and I keep saying that, but honestly, I'm working on my upcoming book. I'm going to have to try and stay on point here as best I can. But I'm working on my current book. For the past 2 weeks, I've done an awful lot. This is the book that's coming out in the next, I'd say 10 days to 2 weeks, perhaps. I'm working my ass off here. I've been working for about 2 weeks flat out. Like, I've spoke in the past about how this book was forming. It initially started with me using some transcripts from videos I've done. I've done nearly 1,000 videos on YouTube at this point. I've done so many on a previous TikTok account. It was such a waste to not actually use content I've already done, because put it into book form. But it bored the life out of me. I hate editing, and that's all I was doing, editing. And I thought, I can't work like this. So what I've been doing over the past 2 weeks is I started looking at it, and it was driving me nuts. I just said, you know what, sod this shit, because I'm not working like this. It's driving me crazy. So instead, I would just take the topic, and the same way I do my videos, they're not scripted. I don't start with notes. I just talk. And it's the same way. So how I am on video is exactly how I can write. So instead, I just took a topic, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to write a whole thing here now. And I'd sit there and do it 2,000 words. That's a chapter. Another chapter was quite long, but that's really what I aim for, about 2,000 words a chapter. I think that's a good goal. I would say a book really is between 50,000 and 80,000, but I try and push it. I don't really like having it too small. So the higher end of that would be nice, but in the 60,000 range is good. So where am I at the minute? I'm about halfway through the book, or slightly past that now, maybe 60%, 55, 60%. I'm doing well. I'm at 40,000 words or 38,000 words. So, and that's greenlit. So when I say greenlit, it's me working on it, and I've edited that chapter down. So I always do that before I move on to another one. Everyone has their own way of working. I can't deal with mess. So when I say it's greenlit, that literally means it's ready to print. So if I release this book as it is right now, there's 38,000 words that could be printed perfectly for a book. And we've already established between 50,000 and 80,000 a book. So it's getting there, There's still a bit of a way to go, but that's all in 2 weeks because I'm mental. I did 3 chapters yesterday. I literally started in the morning. Actually, I put a dartboard up in the kitchen in the morning because I forgot about that, and I went, I better do that. So I didn't really start till lunchtime, and then I went flat out. In the UK, it gets dark quite early, so I'm just sitting in the living room. It's getting dark, and before I knew it, I'm sitting in it was just darkness, and I'm still sitting and typing away. I thought, oh, geez. So I'd, shut the curtains, put the lights on and things. And then I still continued in the evening, and it was just, that's what I'm like. I have days where I burn out, and I have to stop. The other day, I had to have a rest because I was like losing my mind, to be honest. I was like, is this what my life is? Wake up, do this. Wake up, do this. I'm in Groundhog Day. It is frustrating, but the sooner it's out of my head, the sooner it's in a book, the sooner I'm free. I don't want to digress too far with this video, because that's not really what this video is about. So look at the title, Board of Trump's America. Anyway, this book it's going to be out soon. And then we'll be dealing with, I've got 3 books this year, right? That's that book. And I'm really excited to get that book out. Add this book to the existing lists, pretty cool. Then after that, we've got a book on politics and society. So where we're talking about America at the moment and Europe, I'm going to be covering things like that in this book that comes out after this one. So midway through the year, I'll have my say on some of the political things. I've already started it right now, which is why I'm burning out a bit, to be totally honest. I'm working on the main project that's due to release, but there's still so much shit going on in the world that I'm journaling to a degree. I'm making notes. I'm having my say, and it's like that's going to help further in when I release the book, isn't it? If I leave it all. Which is where we come to with this Board of Trump's America. I am sick of his shit. I am just sick of him, man. It does my absolute head in. I don't want to be doing videos all the time. It throws me off when I'm trying to work on my books. So me doing this, it'll be another at least 3 weeks before I do another one. But so much has happened since my last video. I'm pretty sure my last video was me talking about Venezuela. Then that poor woman was shot by ICE agents, in Minnesota. I'm not sure if I discussed that or not, but that was ridiculous. That was absolutely disgusting. Literally, that was like a murder. That was the equivalent of a murder. And the cover-up from the White House to all of Trump's administration was deplorable. Literally, before they even had evidence and, and they're informed deeply about it. They just go into a defense mechanism. And that's my problem with a lot of Trump supporters in general. Like, not even just Trump supporters, though. It's political advocates. It's the people who have, like, they just ingrained within a political party. I'm not. See, I see the world in a different way to the average person. People are patriots of their country, and it warps their mind. I'm more a patriot of Earth. So it allows me to have a broader perspective on situations that arise. I don't say, oh, I'm this party, and everybody else does is the enemy, like a sports team. This is my team. This is my rival. That's a stupid way to look at the world. It really is. Different leaders can, take on the position, or, they become leaders of that party. It doesn't mean they align with the values and principles that made you attracted to that party. So to just go down that path of this is my party and whatever the leader does, it doesn't matter because we're one and the same. That's really thick. Because if you're one and the same as Donald Trump, you're demented narcissist, freaking someone who just wants an imperial. He's someone who wants to dominate the world. And if that's you, you might as well all be, is it Gru from the Minions? That's what it is. It's the same shit. Go and watch the Minions. Go and watch Despicable Me. But take away the humor and change that with thick as shit. And that's literally what you got with Trump. Now, I'm not trying to taint on a political party, because in all honesty, I don't go to the depths of politics like that. I just don't care. For me, it's about people. That's fundamentally all it comes down to. Watching Trump and his theatrics and his absolute nonsense, surely at some point people can see him for what he is. Every time he speaks, it always is to elevate his own status, but it's so grandeur that it's so obviously flawed. Nobody's perfect, yet he wants to pretend he is. And it's like, that's the biggest, that's the most obvious indicator that he lies. And he makes up ridiculous things as facts. Like, they're not facts. You can tell they're not facts. It's just overinflated. So everything he says is like, this is the biggest, this is the largest, this is the most successful, biggest thing we've done in the whole of America. You can't possibly achieve all that within the first year of being the best and the biggest of every part of history. It's like, this is just ridiculous statements. And you have to be really thick and flawed to believe this guy. If you actually think about it, okay, he was president in the past, but he was pretty crap then. But if you actually look, what makes him a leader or a political leader when he has had no history in politics? Again, he had his first incident. Look at the chaos he caused then. He's not someone who was brought up with politics. So what on earth is he doing being president? He was literally I don't know what you call it. It was just a guy in charge of the Apprentice TV show and a load of failed businesses. But that's all he was known for. And because America was going through a period of upheaval and it was a bit, it's a bit all over the place, all of a sudden they thought this guy, because he's a businessman, he'd be able to change this country for the better. That's how that all started. That's how the movement started. And people like that, they play on the insecurities and the deficiencies of people. So they tell you what you want to hear. That's a businessman. And it's politics to a degree. But he has no class. He has no class. He cannot deal with people. And that's a real big problem, isn't it, for diplomacy? So the real problem with Trump is if you hurt his ego, he gets incredibly reactive fast. So, that's why if you watch the political leaders, especially in Europe, with Trump, some people might think they react weak. I get what they're doing. And I've said it in the past, all the things. And they've come true to a degree. Mostly, if not all the time, actually. It's just a case of, let's try it. Because if I was in charge, you're let's say I was the leader, the Prime Minister of England or the UK. Things go beyond you. It's not about my opinion of Trump or my opinion of America. It's what's best for the people of the UK. So you have to take your ego out of it. So even if you want to say to this guy, you're an absolute moron. I don't trust you. I don't want to work alongside you. I'm not going to sort of say, I'm not even going to waste my time in your company. Well, think of all the jobs and all this and all the instability it would cause and a shockwave between those two countries. All because you've got an issue with this person. Sometimes you have to be the bigger person. So when it comes to politics, I get it. So when some people think maybe this person's being weak, it's like, I understand what they're doing. It's let's appease Trump to a degree, keep him in check when you have to. And it must be hard to bite your tongue with this guy. But it's really trying to outlast him. He's in his 80s. He might die during his presidency naturally. Of course, then you've got Vance, who would just be the vice president. He would automatically be assumed the presidency. It might be just as bad as Trump, None of them could be trusted. But really, it's about outlast them, the administration, until the next one comes in, and hopefully they're more stable and normal. So there is that. But I've been getting bored of America for a while here. It's just, we could argue that Trump's the problem, and he is a huge problem. But America's been a problem for the rest of the world for a long time. Like, it has. It's almost like putting Band-Aid over something, We just pretend and hope things improve. But if you go through, like, history, America's just plugged the gap after World War II. They've just become this superpower. While other countries were rebuilding from the war, it's almost like America has just gone full steam ahead with technology and military and arms race. And it's just that toe-to-toe with Russia. That's what it seems to me. I mean, I don't know the full history of everything, but if you look at timelines, it's only been about 100 years, because we're 2026 now. I can't remember exactly when World War II started, but if it weren't yet, it was soon after in a 100-year cycle. That's not that long ago. And yet America has advanced so much within military because a lot of their spending has gone towards it. And they are literally, if you actually look at what they do, they are the next empire, or at least they're trying to establish themselves as. So what America wants to do is make everybody else reliant upon them. So that when they have a hissy fit, it affects you deeply. So what can you do? You have to appease them, and they know it. That's not good. That's not a position of strength for anyone. Strength for America, not the rest of the world. And Trump has just re-emphasized that by the way he is, to be totally honest. He just keeps pushing people's buttons and just making it more clear and clear on. And you can have one powerhouse and everyone else is subservient to them. And yeah, they will always be dominant in that way. But when people start peeling off, I haven't got examples here. I watched it yesterday and I was so proud. The Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney. Oh my God, he was incredible. I listened to his speech at, I think it's the World Economic Forum, and sometimes I think some people are quite weak, and I just listened to him, and I was like, I would have clapped. That incredible. That was moving, It was like standing up to Trump, but building a sustainable economy and infrastructure away from America. So literally, they're just going to subvert, because America shut off trade. What was it? Trade, like a trade conversation with Russia, with Canada. They just stopped trying to deal with them. So Canada has just gone the other way and just said, "Sod America, we'll just go out everywhere else." They've just done an agreement with China, and they have a very, positive relationship with Europe, and that's what they're doing. And they said they're doing trade agreements around the rest of the world through Asia, and it's like, that's good, isn't it? Because that's pivoting away from America. And if everybody else does that and they all start working together, because Americans do get this really overinflated opinion of themselves. Like, not every American. I've seen some that are incredibly educated, very intelligent, seen people stand up against the regime. So this isn't specific to America. It's more about the politics, the people who represent America. They always come across as arrogant. They're not likable at all. And that's a problem, because people don't like that. People don't want to be around that. So the rest of the world is pivoting. They're forming new relationships, people who they can trust, because you can't trust Trump's America. 1 minute he makes an agreement here, and his word doesn't mean anything because he goes against it. He's all about money and greed and dominance, and boosting his own ego, and wants to be remembered, so he wants every trophy he can have. He's this weird guy. Very strange. So the world is pivoting around him. And I said that. I literally said that. I don't know if it's my last video or back in December, but this is way before. And I say way before because things escalate so quick. People, when I said it, wouldn't have thought that would happen. And I said this. I said, even if, I can't guarantee that the military of other countries would fight America's military for Greenland. You'd like to think they would stand against them, but it's just whether they can. I don't know all the thing. I'm not a military person. I don't like war. I don't like all that. So I don't go heavily invested in learning it all. I don't give a shit because it shouldn't exist. You shouldn't need to fight each other all the time like this. This is just barbaric. Have we not learned anything from forever? It's always been wars, always been invasions, but you think we live in a time now where people are a bit more educated, we'd start aligning more with peace, but it just seems to be more bigger weapons, more destruction. And then you get people, especially Americans, and don't want to keep pointing at them, but do my head in, who absolutely laud the fact that they have this military, and they don't care about the humanity of people. They literally don't care, and I see it so many times where there's no value on a life. They say, yeah, we could annihilate all these, we could just take this. It's like, you're just treating it like they're little characters on a board game. There's no, there's no empathy. And if there's no empathy, why should we have compassion for you? And again, not every American, but what America stands for right now. The bully in the playground. The bully can go and play with itself. Everybody else is fed up with this shit. I'm bored hearing Trump. I'm bored hearing about America right now. It's fighting amongst itself, and it has huge influence on the rest of the world. It's like, for now, I just think, just piss off. That's honestly where I'm up to. I don't want to hear about America much more. I'm sick of it. And that's weird because in the past, UK and America were like friends, we had similar views on the world. It was like there was common ground. And I've been to America twice, and I liked it, but that was a while ago now. So there's no chance while Trump's in office, and I've said it so many times, there's no chance in hell of me travelling to the USA. No chance, not for any reason at all. I don't care. I won't go. I was actually looking, weirdly enough, because I love Europe, but I was actually looking at Sydney in Australia. I thought, that looks beautiful. I'd love to go to Australia. And it wasn't on my tick list before. It was more towards the America. I'd like to spend time in America. You've got Europe. That's where I was looking. And now my mind's going towards Australia. It's beautiful. It's big. But there's certain places, I was thinking that would be a tick box. I'd like to go to Sydney, Australia. But that's a heck of a flight. I think it's 24 hours plus flying, and I don't know if I can handle that, to be totally honest. But that must be a nice place to go to. And I think that's where that's where I've naturally shifted from. I've got no interest in looking west towards America anymore. I just don't want to. It's too chaotic. It's like the Wild West, It's madness. So we look to new ventures, new experiences, and like I say, I think Australia looks really nice, and it's kind of like they've been overlooked for a long time. And maybe that's what's going to happen in the future: is other countries become a bit more desirable, a bit more prominent, and America's star begins to fade because it has to. They need to humble themselves. And the way to humble them is to leave them to themselves. They think we don't need those countries. Those countries need us. Well, let's wait for the trade to drop. Let's wait for a crisis where you need to import products to make whatever it is you need, your manufacturing. So now you can't distribute things around the country because you don't have the facility to generate the things you need. And countries are going to be a bit more firm. They don't trust what. That's the thing, isn't it? If you can't trust what comes out of someone's mouth, then how the hell could you deal with them? So, like even with me, like for instance, I say something, it's gospel, it's gold. Well, I don't change. What you see is what you get with me, and that's really important. If someone is easily corrupted or they're manipulative, you can't. It holds no weight. So I'm just getting really bored of America in general, to be totally honest. The way they are is outrageous. Talking like Greenland is nothing, and it's just. And I like the rebuttals where Trump's saying 500 years ago Denmark happened to call Greenland, put their flag there, how should that give them like dominion over or sovereignty over the land? And it's like, well, that's how most countries were established, especially America. I mean, it's just forgoing the whole American history here. But every country, well, I don't know the history of every single one, but you would assume, based on the fact that most have had an invasion of one type or another. And it has formed that country. I'm not going to go on a huge tangent here because it bothers me a lot. I hate people's obsession with hating on immigrants. We get it here in the UK. It's very racist. And it's often people who are uneducated, frustrated with their life. They want to seem significant. They want to be important. And they jump on bandwagons and they like to vilify other people. They like to blame other people for their problems rather than build their own life up. So they hate on others who have less than them, who are seeking better. And you see it in America with the ICE. There's a lot of people stand up to them because people can see the lack of humanity within it. It's inhumane. And yet there's some people who justify it. And they think, yeah, make America great again. When was America ever great? I don't want to piss on America, but think about it. Stop saying make America great again. Uh, again suggests it was great before. When? When did America know greatness? They took land off of the native Indians. You go through I don't know every ounce of American history, but I know some of it, and it doesn't sound like any of it was great. And that's my perception. So stop saying stupid things like that. Because America, again, this ego's been running rampant with America for years, always acting like they're the best at this, they're the best at that, we're great. It's almost like you have to give yourself that wake-up call every day. And if you've got to tell yourself you're great every morning, you're probably shit. Let's be totally honest. I've already discussed a lot of the issues in America. I'm not going to keep doing it. I don't want to keep recycling the words I speak. It's quite freaking apparent that America, as an institution, does not care about its people. All it cares about is money, power, and dominance. That's all America cares about. The people are just servants of that, to fulfill the narrative. It doesn't care, man. You could literally be saving for a better future, and then you break your leg, you have an issue, you end up in hospital. All your savings go towards your healthcare costs. That's not normal in any other part of society in any country. That's an American-specific thing, and the Americans don't get it. That the rest of the world don't live like that. If a government truly cared about its people, it would make its life easier. And you see, I've seen it with some countries where they are going above and beyond for their people, and that is a holistic environment, isn't it? America is not like that at all. Yeah, I actually think that countries personally should make public transport free. I think there should be a way where it's covered by taxpayer. I'm not going to go deep into that right now, but I can't see America having anything. I don't want to be cruel, but even that idea of traveling to America now as a tourist, and think about if you got hurt in some way, you don't go on holiday to worry about how much it's going to cost while you're there. You take money with you to buy some souvenirs, to be able to have food and things like that. You don't go on holiday thinking I need to take £10,000 plus with me just in case something happens. That's outrageous. Who could afford to go on holiday at that rate? But you have to have that in the back of your mind. Okay, I need travel insurance, but how complicated is the travel insurance? Will it be accepted at the hospital? I had a family member a long time ago. The hospital wouldn't take the travel insurance. Still filled it out, but they had to put it on a credit card. Then the credit card had to get refunded when we got home. What if you didn't have the credit card? That's a worry. That's a real worry, and it's a genuine thing in America. It ain't worth the risk. That's what I'm saying. Hopefully one day America heals, but like any evolution, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight because America's problem goes beyond Trump anyway. It's systematic. The corruption goes the whole way through. You got senators. I think it's senators that are like they've been there for like 50 years. How is that? How is that like diplomacy and things? How is that right that you have people who will just stay in office for so long and it doesn't get challenged? Sounds corrupt to me. But I'm not going to keep delving into American politics. I need to actually switch off. So what I tend to do is obviously get this next. It's not going to be focused entirely on America because that would frustrate me to shit if I had to just obsess about America to that degree. No chance. But if it impacts the world and I'm talking about a specific topic, then I'll talk about it. So they do come into the conversation quite often, to be totally honest. My plan, though, going forward is, of course, get this book done for the end of January, beginning of February. The next book will then come out July-ish. It may come out sooner. I'm intended to take a break between books, but at the same time, I do recognise if I work on these books in periods, it won't be such a heavy load when I decide to invest my time. So all of a sudden, I can go back to it in a big way and go, whoa, most of it's done. That's great. Easier for me. That's a better way of working. I think it's pragmatic. But once that book's done, I really, really want to switch my mind off from America and Trump. I don't want to keep hearing about it anymore. It's important we know what's happening in the world, but then there has to be a bit of freedom within our mind. What happens with Trump, it's like a jackhammer in your freaking brain. It's like, in other countries, there might be an incident and then there'd be a gap between incidents. With Trump, it just seems to be a daily occurrence, whether it's his, I'm losing their track of their names because they're hurting my head too much now. We've got Hegseth with his military freaking ventures where he just wants to keep just talking shit. He hasn't even got a history in that. Why is he there? Then you got Nome with her ICE officers just hating on people and just vilifying them and ruining lives and just these are like the little devil incarnates. These people, aren't they? But I don't want to keep hearing about these assholes anymore. In all honesty, I don't want to hear about them. It's just too toxic. So that's what I'm going to be doing for a period of my life here is switch off from America. I have to. And I'm just going to be blissfully ignorant of what the hell's going on. You can't just keep following this madness. It just drives me mad. It makes life, and it's really stemming from America. It just makes life seem, it's just stressful. And it doesn't have to be that stressful. That's happening in America. So that's not where I am. My life isn't like that. But because we see it all the time, it starts to make us feel heavy. And it's like, I don't want to feel heavy. I just want to enjoy myself. I'm just going to keep myself centered and anchored in UK. What's happening in the UK? What's happening throughout Europe? And we'll start looking towards like Australia, and I'll start learning about other places like that. And that's really what I want to do. Because I can't stay. I've already said it before. I've got no interest in following in Trump's shadow. So effectively, he does something, and then you react to it. He does something, you react to it. You're just forever following this buffoon around. It's like this guy is a clown. He's wormed his way into a very powerful position as the American leader. That is alarming. And I think after he's been, America needs to get his act together. It needs to enact rules and laws where a president doesn't have the level of authority that Trump has had, where he can destabilize a country and an entire world in a very short space of time. It's been absolutely relentless and so consistent. It's crazy. Again, like a pneumatic drill, just causing so much trouble. But I said Europe would stand up against America. I had no doubt about that. Might not be militarily, but I believe they would do trade. They will create a trade war with America. Because America keeps doing the war with Europe, thinking they pull all the strings. We're going to do a tariff here, tariff there. Well, tariff the shit back. Start doing trade. Just do trade blocks. Stop him from freaking doing trade. Start banning and restricting certain goods from leaving the EU to get to America. Same way America keeps doing it to other countries. You've even seen it with Venezuelan oil. They think they're policing the world. Well, show America they don't have control over everything. They think they've got full autonomy of everything around the world. They have a right to it. There is talk that Greenland has a lot of minerals, which is probably why Trump's really, really focused heavily on Greenland. But it's just pathetic to be doing land grabs at this stage of evolution in humanity, really. I think we've seen enough of that shit in the past. Let's grow now, shall we? We just grow and mature a bit. Everybody just start working together now to actually build a better planet rather than focus solely on our own countries. That'd be better. But while we're living in the Wild West that is America, I think sometimes you've got to leave them to fight themselves. It's just too much. The rest of the world has to keep moving forward. So if you end up with this petulant neighbor, whatever you want to call it, and all they're intent on is causing chaos, sometimes you've just got to leave that chaos to itself, because otherwise it just drives you mad. You're trying to elevate, you're trying to evolve, and you've got this one that just keeps trying to hold everyone back and anchor them. Sometimes you just got to cut the freaking anchor. Let them anchor themselves down. We're going to have to keep going forward. And I see that. There's such maturity in Europe. I freaking love it. When I hear the leaders speak, some people, like Americans, might hear a European speak and think they sound weak because of their accent. And that's just bigotry and shit. That's just people just always looking down at other people, want to be dominant. That's your ego running rampant. Just because Americans tend to have deeper voices, you can argue they have more impact, doesn't mean they're more intelligent. I listened to Mark Carney from Canada, and then I listened to Emmanuel Macron from France, and I listened to some other leaders throughout Europe, and I was like, this is great. They articulate incredibly well. It's factual. It's deep. It's so insightful. And I'm listening thinking, these are great leaders. These are great leaders in terms of how they represent their country and they speak and they articulate. I'm like, this is incredible. And then you've got the toddler that is Trump. He could never compete with these people. Could never compete with these people. And I think he would literally, and I have no doubt about it, if someone embarrassed Trump, he would naturally, I think he would go immediately to war. That's how weak his mind is. He's a very weak-minded president. He cannot take criticism at all. So as soon as he feels insulted, I think he would actually go to an actual war with the country because he's insulted by him. And that's why some countries haven't tiptoed to a degree with him. But it'd be nice if one country just said it to his face, I don't like you at all. I can't even tolerate you for a moment. And then just distance themselves from him. Because I think that's what people should do. When you see him at these events, it'd be good if people gave him a wide berth and let him stand on his own. Because he likes to stand in the middle and he likes to posture like he's the most confident. Everybody loves him. Everybody's here. I'm powerful. Let's see how powerful you are when you're standing on your own over there. And the rest of Europe is standing together and other world leaders. That'd be interesting. Yeah, look, I don't want to keep going on to these rants. I don't want to keep doing... the plan for me isn't do videos. But when the world is going to shit, I just feel it's important we stand up and speak on topics, you know. Haven't gone as deep as I normally would because, to be honest, didn't even want to do a video. I'm too busy doing my book, you know. It just takes time away from things. So it's if my mind's focused on one thing, then I go all hell onto it. So if I'm just doing videos, believe me, I'll be going deeper into that. I'll be obsessed by what I'm consuming, really, and then it'll trigger me to do a video. Not really the case at the moment because although I'm seeing this stuff of America and Trump triggers the shit out of me, and all of these bloody minions and all the idiots that follow his circus, and then the influence it has on the other rest of the world about how unstable it makes it, that bothers me. But it's not like my whole focus because, to be totally honest, most of the time I got my head stuck in the book I'm writing, which has nothing to do with that. This is more personal growth, you know, developing ourselves and things like that. So I'm focused on the book primarily, but then if I go on social media, I see the news, I'm looking at the other shit that's going on. And that's really why I'm not really pushing it so heavily as I normally would, or as long as I normally would, because my focus isn't even that. It's this. Of course, once this one's done, for a period of time, my mind will have to go to that dark place, and I will have to... there's politics and society. So it's the other book, the one that's going to come after this one. And it'll be talking about the things that I think are wrong. Like a bit where I've talked about immigration. That book, the book that comes after this one in July, I'm sure will piss a lot of people off. The same way my videos do. I've got no doubt about that. But I'm not scared to share my voice on a topic. And I'm not scared to put my face to what I say. That's what I'm saying. I'm not a flaky individual where I might say something and I'll go, oh, I better not have said that. I can give a shit. If I've got it to say, I'm going to say it. And my name is attached to it. And it will forever be tied to me. Because that is my opinion. And I will talk about there'll be so many issues that I'll be covering. Won't say so many. It'll be things that bother me immensely. One of them absolutely will be immigration. My take on immigration. And I think people need to open their mind to it more. I'm sick of people living in their privilege, looking down at others who seek something better, and not even taking even just a little moment to think about what their life would be like. Because people don't care beyond their own situation, you know, their own little comfort. And I mean, it's disgraceful. Now, you could argue, oh, you're doing the same thing if you're going to switch off from America. That's not the same thing. I've invested heavily time in understanding American politics and culture. I've spent a lot of time talking about American politics and culture for our own peace of mind and, you know, sanctity. I think sometimes we have to switch off for a period. And I deserve that. You know, I can't live in the chaos that is America my whole life. You know, I've got better things to do. So I can't do that, unfortunately. In the same way, I don't think about immigration every ounce of my day, you know, but it bothers me when I do. So, yeah, I am not one of those people who follow, if we're going to talk about UK, the Reform Party, what a load of shit that is. I'm discussing that in my book as well. You know, I did a little bit the other day. Between this one, I started talking about. There's so many people that are just stupid. You know, they mindlessly follow a trend. First of all, the Reform Party in the UK uses the Union Jack, I think it is, as their I don't know what you call it. Just the label. You know, the thing where you attach it. So that makes people think, oh, I'm patriotic immediately. This is the thick people. I don't want to keep calling people thick, but there's some people that are literally very low, uneducated or very low intelligence. And they're easily manipulated and they easily jump on a bandwagon or something. And they want to call themselves patriots, right? They just see what they want to see. And ultimately it comes down to racism. So they see the flag and they think, yeah, I'm this. And I'm fed up with the country. I'm fed up with this. Well, fed up with everything, probably. But what makes you think this is any better? Nigel Farage is the UK version of Donald Trump. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these people believe in what Trump's doing as well. And it's like, you can't help some people, you know, but I will talk about it and I will raise the issue. So come July, I think July will be the latest. It might come out slightly before that. People will hear my opinion on all that. Maybe open their mind a little bit. Because this isn't like a light book here where I just say, oh, they're dickheads. This is literally, I'm sharing it. I'm documenting things people have said. I'm dating it. I'm freaking citing where they've said this. So this isn't a case of me spreading opinion and it has no basis upon that opinion. I'm showing how I've come to get that opinion, why I think this, the experience I've had, but also what they've said too. So it's going to have historical accuracy towards this. And that's what I'm doing with that. So yeah, the Reform Party I don't trust at all. Yes, I've always said, things need to change because it seems to be one. Look, we talk about UK politics. One party comes in, promising the world. It doesn't change much from what the previous government did. And that's where political parties are a bit disjointed, really. And it's like, what's the point of favouring one specific political party when they're all very similar fundamentally? And it just depends on the leader, really, what agenda they have and things. But Farage is no different to Trump. He gives with one hand, takes with the other. He won't fulfill any of his promises. You can tell. You just have to open your eyes. He's not even someone you trust. He literally became the party leader of the Reform Party, so he could, he became the MP of Clacton because it was an easy one for him to attach himself to, and whatever's marginalised. Where are the people going to vote for him? Maybe Clacton would be good for usurp the establishment. So that's what he did. And then you hear her, right, so he's supposed to be the MP of Clacton, which means he's supposed to be the official that people go to. If you've got any issues in the community, you can go to him and he'll sort it out for you. People in Clacton, after he become their MP, so he got himself into Parliament based on that. People in Clacton were saying, we never even seen Farage. We don't even, he just seems to attach his name here. He's got voted in. He's never even here. It's like, because this guy's a clown. He's a charlatan. He's a salesman. That's what he is. And I've seen it myself, where he's actually said, but it went under the radar, that his intention to abolish the NHS. So he wants a similar system to America, which we've already established is quite a corrupt system and it's very unaffordable. It marginalises people and the poor suffer. And yet and it's the same thing. It was the poor people in America for the most part who got fed up with the high cost of living that went with Donald Trump. Now, I can understand from that point of survival and desperation that you'd put your hope in something else. I get that. But you shouldn't be believing that people like this who are salesmen. In fact, that's what they are. So Trump comes in and he doesn't do anything what he promised. And it's the same with Farage. He's found weaknesses in people, especially immigration, because people are loud about that. And he's finding the things that people want to hear. And then he's going off on a tangent with it and hoping that people fall into that trap. And then when he comes into office, he's going to be missing just like he is in Clacton. He just wants to be, he's a bit like Trump. He just wants to be known. I've only seen him a good few years ago. He was in like EU Parliament and things, whatever his position allowed him to do. And he'd make ridiculous speeches there. It is all very just racist, really. It really is. And that's what that's what I put the Trumps down to anyway, the new Hitlers. And I think that's what it is. I think the Farage and the Trumps are like the new generation of Hitlers. So what the hell would you vote for that for? You go far enough back into history. That's exactly what Hitler did too. I see something recently, again, I don't know the whole German politics, but I saw something recently where Hitler come into office, a bit like the way Trump did, and then just systematically just started to weaken the system. So challenged this and won that. And then eventually all the politicians, they were weak. So they bent the knee to him, effectively. They gave him a power that they really shouldn't have done. They should have stood against him, but instead they gave him the authority. Then that's when he created his army and then started to invade all of Europe and things and just created this monster. And that's really what Trump started a little bit here. And that's what Farage is going to follow as well. And it's just, for me, like if you're voting reform, you need your head checked, to be totally honest, and stop jumping on the bandwagons, personally. That's what I think. There'll be no NHS. You will suffer more than you're suffering now. Because if you actually look at him, he doesn't provide any. You could argue he doesn't provide any insight into what his agendas will be. Like, what are the things you're actually going to be known for? He just gives people sound bites. And also, you've got to realise, when people come into office, just like Trump's done, They don't stick to what they say anyway. They do what they want. So although in the UK we have Conservatives, Labour and Lib Dems, and you have the other parties, like sub-parties, but these are the only ones really, Labour and Conservative, as much as people might not like them at times, and maybe they do not always fulfill their promises, at least there's direction and you sort of know what you're going to get. With Farage, he's a salesman. And I would say he's not a very good one at that, but he's managed to get a lot of people on board. And it's quite a dangerous concept that he becomes prime minister one day. That'd be ridiculous. It would be, if you actually look at the way trade is at the minute, I've just said about how well leaders articulate. You've got Canada who seems to be doing great things with trade and their economy. And that's through diplomacy and dealing with other countries and being a positive statesperson, you know, someone with integrity, someone with authority, someone you respect. That's important, I think. Emmanuel Macron from France, he comes across a similar way too. Like if you was to meet him, you feel like you're meeting someone with integrity, confidence, authority. Like literally, I can respect you, you know, that's important. If I came across, so I would, you know, you'd meet these people and you think, I've got respect for you. That's good. You're not intimidated, but I respect you. I love that. If I was in a room with Emmanuel Macron and Mark Carney, that's how I would feel. If I was in a room with Donald Trump and Nigel Farage, my God, I'd feel like I've lost brain cells. That's how I would feel. I'd feel I can't trust either of you. I think you're both buffoons. I have no interest in even talking to you because only just shit's going to come out of your mouth. I don't care if you're in charge of this. So let's say Farage was the UK Prime Minister. You've got freaking Trump's the President of America. I wouldn't give a shit that they're the President, Prime Minister and President. You're both dipshits. You've managed to swindle your way to office. Look, people need their heads checked. And at some point, what people need to do more than anything is learn from history. You know, and it's just that, and stop being big. Stop finding some semblance of personal accomplishment in other people's downfall. Start building yourself up instead. So rather than be racist, look at yourself and invest in you rather than keep wishing for someone else's downfall and feeling like this person's destroying my life. No, you're destroying your own life. Grow a pair and start improving your life if you're not happy. Stop looking at every excuse that someone else is your problem. It starts with us. And that's what pisses me off with people in general. They're weak and they posture as strong. Covering that in my book here. This isn't about politics. It's about personal growth and strength. You know. And I'm going quite deep with it. There's been some really powerful chapters that I'm like, that's going to help people. That's going to help people. That's going to help people. And so, you know, what I'm seeing, so we go away from my books, is I just see a lot of weak people in society voting for corruption because they're making every excuse that their life's hard because of someone else. You know, life could be challenging, but there's something to learn in it, isn't there? That you can overcome a lot if you just start focusing, prioritizing, being better. You know, like for instance, if you just go around causing havoc in your neighborhood, you're just drinking alcohol all the time, you're not really respectful of others, your community isn't the most stable, they're quite mischievous, everyone's effectively a bit boisterous. People, you've built a community of people who are unstable. Let's be honest. Let's say that. That's got nothing to do with immigration. That's got nothing to do with politics. That's got nothing to do with financial hardship. I mean, it can stem from that to a degree, but everybody has like the same hours in a day. Everybody can focus on other areas of their life. People can detach from the communities they've built. They can build a new life. Hating on other people is not going to build that. It literally starts with us. So voting for Farage, thinking he's going to change your life because that's what you want for you, is really, really deluded. You're still going to find yourself in the same situation. It's a bit like people who say, I've had enough of this country, I'm going to go and move to Spain. But they take all their problems to Spain. And it's like Spain wasn't the problem, it was you. That's what people need to start focusing on. If something in your life isn't working, it's like, fix it yourself. Stop blaming others for your issue. And that goes as far as your government. Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? Like, fundamentally, we know if there's a problem. Like, in America, even with their system, I wouldn't like it at all, to be honest. It's just hemorrhaging money everywhere. It's just unreal. But even in that situation, if that was the society you're built in and living in, you would then focus on saying, right, okay, what are the tools I have? How can I improve my circumstance if this is the start? Of course, you can talk out openly about situations and things, but you primarily, your focus should be on improving your circumstance, shouldn't it? So if a resource is limited in the fact that, okay, maybe I can make money, but you hemorrhage it in so many areas, it's always a worry, it's a concern, then surely your mindset would be, well, I need to have a safety net. That's going to be a priority for me in my life. That then gives me my stability to which I can grow. Now, keep being like a political advocate, for instance, saying, I want this party, I want this party, I want this party. It's probably going to have a negligible effect on your life overall. There'll be certain parts of it where it matters. And of course, there's important talk on certain areas. But fundamentally, the biggest thing that's going to affect any of our lives is our own focus on it, on our actual lives. So, like, there could be, in the UK, we could have Labour, then we could have Conservative, then we could have Labour, then we could have numbnuts of freaking Farage. Who knows when he comes in, if he ever does. But it can be unstable in periods. But if I just focus solely on what I'm growing, that chaos is it's noise. It'll affect me in some areas. Sometimes it'll be harder to save, it'll be harder to have that experience. This will be unstable. There'll be an issue with our neighbours in terms of like Europe and other places, depending on their policies. But you're still building your own stability yourself, you know. So it all starts with us. But too many people, they're ignorant and they just want to blame other people for their own personal issues in their life. And it's like there's a level of accountability that has to start, you know. Now it's digressed from hating on Trump and shit, but just look at where he got to, you know. Anything's possible. Think of it that way. If a guy like that could be president of the United States, anyone could be the president within America. I'm not saying anyone will be because you can only have so many appointments, but the potential's there. So if someone wants to strive for something in their life, it's like really just focus on striving for it. You don't have to hate other people to get there. So you don't have to focus so much on immigration and hate the people that want to improve their lives because your life's difficult. It's like make your life, unravel that. You know, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's like no one's saying life isn't hard in pockets. And maybe jobs get drained and housing situations become a bit more challenging. But it's just improve the circumstances. You know, expand. We can travel to different places. We can find areas that we'd actually be happier in. You can relocate to a degree. I know people say, obviously, why should I have to? And I get that. But there's always going to be ways that we can improve our life, you know. I'm past the point of blaming other people for my plight. It's like I'm responsible. Like my life's hard as a consequence. When I do my books, for instance, my life's really hard financially and things. People won't realise the brunt of that. So, you know, I'm discussing that a little bit in the book there. There was something I was covering. I'm not going to talk about it here because it goes too deep. But, you know, there are people that are sellouts and things. And so I wouldn't sell out for anything, even when I'm struggling. So the idea that people sell out because life's hard, it's like, that's a cop-out. My life's hard. I don't lose integrity. I always speak my truth. You know, I wouldn't sort of take on someone else's narrative because they pay me. It's like, that's not going to happen. I'd rather my life remains hard then. If it's going to be hard because I speak the truth, so be it. But again, we have to take responsibility of that, isn't it? It's like if you can either be subservient or just stay in your own lane. You can probably do better in life in general, really. You probably have more options. Yeah. And you're more financially secure. Or you could be a bit more, I guess, unstable, outspoken, and there will be consequences for that. It's like, that's life. But it's being accountable for that, you know, and that's not something I see from Donald Trump. I mean, that's what I'm like. I'm accountable for my problems. So if I'm struggling and it's something I've done that's made me struggle, guess whose fault it is I'm struggling? Me. It's me, isn't it? So my financial problems are my problems. It's not a government issue, although there are subsets of that government because, you know, there are issues with certain aspects. So yeah, but it's also my responsibility to alter my circumstance to improve what's happening to me, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm I'm going off track because I've really got to get back to this book. That's my priority now for the next 2 weeks. It doesn't mean I'll be back doing videos regularly because I really don't want to be honest. I didn't. I earmarked this year as non-video, not really doing videos. So unless there's something I deeply want to talk about, I won't do it. I'm not chasing around after Trump, so I'm not gonna. I can't do it, man. I just can't be bothered with it. So if something happens with Greenland, I won't necessarily speak on it. It will likely be covered in the next book, though. So it's not like I'm ignorant of it. I'm not a political. I don't want to be. What would you call it? Political commentator. I don't want to be a political commentator. I don't want to run around talking about politics all the time. It bores me. I'll just provide my little insights really into the world to a degree. I think probably went sidetracked a little bit. Probably could have gone deeper in other areas. But again, what it is, I think there's it's a mental block on me at the minute. It's a reluctance, because I've noticed that sometimes I'll work on a book, then I'll do videos, and I realise that video could have been a book. That video could have gone in my book. That video, So I feel like sometimes I give too much away in a video that I could have really unraveled and discussed deeper in the book, but I give too much in the video and it kind of makes the book irrelevant. It's like, huh. So I think there's the mental barrier with me with this video where I'm thinking, just working on a book, we've got the next book to do after. We'll just discuss it through that. The good thing about books is you can't be interrupted. So it's so pure and authentic. This is my voice. And this is what I've got to say. And I like that. Yeah, I mean, look, I've said in the past about people commenting and it's enabled now, blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to be ignorant of other people's views and things. It's just I recognise most people react quite quickly, and that's the thing. And it's like, I'm not here for tit-for-tat responses. So if someone says something really horrible, by all means. Someone says something nice, by all means. I just haven't got the time to keep checking and then reacting to it. I've already said what I've got to say on a topic. If I feel maybe something could be added and I'll comment back, maybe. But realistically, I'm probably going to be working on my book. I don't need to get all bothered about other people arguing. I'm getting to that point in my life personally where I could argue with anyone, and I've argued a lot throughout my life. But now, even like when I see something on social media, I look and I think I could say something to that, because you think, oh, this person, they're stupid, and I feel like saying something, and then I just go, nah, I can't bother. What's the point? What's the point of educating them? Just leave them to it, and then I just move on. And I mean it's not a weakness. I think I think that displays self-control. I think that's a really important trait. That's a real important quality to gain to. That's took a while to get there. But it's just natural. So now I really can't even bother to argue with people. It's not a case I'm scared to argue. I just can't be bothered. So I just look and go, it's whatever. So if people see comments on my videos and it looks like, oh, he hasn't answered back, he must be scared. It's like, I just can't even be asked. It's like, I've moved on. Whatever. People are free to say what they want.